include the report by Charles Newpen and Mashishi on the unity and cohesion of the Federation, and the forensic report by Sizwe Saluba Koboto, firm of auditors. Update report on the litigation against Cosatu. Update on the disciplinary process against the Cosatu General Secretary and a staff member. The new agenda item was to the draft Secretariat report toward the Central Committee. The South Gauteng High Court processes. As we're preparing toward the special CC on the 7th November 2014, the Federation received court papers set by NUMSA against the Federation. His primary intention was to interdict the sitting of the special CC to attend to the NUMSA presentation. NUMSA was expected to make a presentation as to why he should not be suspended or expelled for taking the following resolution in his Special National Congress. 1, his decision to call Cosatu to break its alliance with the African National Congress. The decision to organize a march to Cosatu House to coincide with his first CC in February 2014. The decision to hold back on paying affiliation fee to Cosatu until the Special National Congress is held. The decision to cease to pay his contribution into the Cosatu SABC levy. The decision to extend his scope of operation into the glass production, sale and fitment, car velvet and wash bay establishment, manufacture of jewelry, the refining of petrol, wholesale transportation, extraction and distribution of petrochemicals, mining and smelting of both base and precious metals, drivers that provide support to the activities of the NUMSA sector, building and construction, auto industry, textile, security, cleaning, canteen and health services that are covered by NUMSA scope, kiosk, industrial chemical, alternative energy, information and communication technology. The special CC held on the 10th February 2014 had noted that Cosatu Constitution is amended by the 9th National Congress that says affiliates, including affiliates that are being orientated about the Federation, remain autonomous bodies governed by their own constitution, but they must abide by the Constitution and the policies of the Federation. In this context, the report pointed out the word autonomous referred in Section 2.3 of the Cosatu Constitution means that Cosatu affiliates are independent, self-governing, and self-ruling, meaning that affiliates will be governed by their own constitution and policy. However, the section provides that although affiliates are independent, they are required to abide by the Cosatu Constitution and policies, meaning the Constitution and the policy of the Federation should be consistent with the Cosatu Constitution and policies. It is now a common knowledge that the High Court ruled that the special CEC should proceed with sitting and attend to all agenda items. The decision of the Special Central Executive Committee held on the 7th November 2014. The agenda of the Special CEC held on the 7th of November included all the items which were put in abeyance by the Special CEC held in April 2014, which was intended to allow the intervention of the African National Congress Task Team. These include the item that was mentioned already earlier, the NUMSA response on why it should not be suspended or expelled, the status of the second deputy president, the president's report on the request for Special National Congress, update on the disciplinary process against the Cosatu General Secretary and staff member, update report on the litigation against Cosatu, the report by the ANC task team, and the signing off of the draft Secretariat report into the Central Committee. NUMSA was given an opportunity to present to the CEC and the CC to discuss the presentation. And indeed, NUMSA made such presentation, and the CC discussed the presentation and came to the conclusion that NUMSA be expelled. NUMSA was also advised that in terms of the Constitution, they have the right to appeal to the National Congress. Managing the processes moving forward, the decision to expel NUMSA is now a CC decision and is binding to all structures of the Federation and its leaders. All are expected to observe without exception. The Federation will be convening a structural meetings at all levels to explain the decision of the special CEC, as we always do. This is a practice and tradition of the Federation, which will also apply to affiliates. More work needs to be done to unite the affiliates within the fold of the Federation. We are calling on all our members across all sectors of the economy to remain focused on building the unit of their own union and their own Cosatu. We call on all affiliates to focus their resources and energies in addressing the burning issues of workers at all workplaces. This decision has not been taken lightly, and all who engage with it are expected to do so in accordance with the expected conduct of Cosatu Kenda, which must show high level of organizational discipline. One thing is certain, the Federation will emerge from the current challenges even stronger, without sacrificing an inch on our policies and principle. Employers must continue to feel the economic presence of our union even as the Federation navigates solutions to the current challenges. The unit of Cosatu remain central. Thank you very much.
We thank the Deputy General Secretary for leading us through the statement. We are just going to apply generic ground rules. Introduce yourself and your media house. Be short to the point with your question. We allow the first bench and the second bench. We are appealing to you. There is a silver button on the speaker. Press it so that you can appear on the screens to be seen and identified. I'll start from this side and then I'll then go to the other side. Let's start by saying 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We've noted the others. We'll come back for the next round. Introduce yourself and your media house.
Yes, SABC Television News. Two quick things. Why is not Bala consulting lawyers? What for, really? Pertaining to his position? Is he leaving as well? And also, how do you get to the decision to expel NUMSA? Can you help us with the process?
Second question. Move to the next slide.
I can just shout.
Okay.
Mbata from Bloomberg News. You stated in the statement that NUMSA has the right to appeal to the National Congress. Which is that? Is that the Special National Congress? Can you please just give us some clarity on that? Thanks.
That question.
Greetings from the Mail and Guardian. Two quick questions to the NOBs. Firstly, when was NUMSA formally informed that they were expelled? And who signed that letter, and why didn't Cosatu General Secretary Willem Zimavadi sign the letter, as it is his duty to do so? Thank you.
First question.
Jan de Lange from Field Newspaper. The Cosatu Constitution on a special national conference is very simple and very clear language. And it spells out simply that a third of the union requesting a special congress must be adhered to, that the president must issue the notice of that special congress within 14 days, and that he must attach an agenda to that notice. None of the prerequisites that the task team added in its report are mentioned in any way in the Constitution. Legally, as my interpretation, and I want you to tell me why do you think I'm wrong, I'm sure you think I'm wrong. But legally that means that none of you sitting there, up there, belong there unless you are re-elected. It means that expelling the biggest union who were requested that Special National Congress amounts to theft of the Cosatu brand and assets. Can you respond and tell me why do you think I'm wrong when I say this?
Last question.
I'm Rajini Mansami from the Daily Maverick. Firstly, I just wanted to find out, I believe that in the National Office Bearers meeting yesterday, the Cosatu General Secretary informed you that he does not support the decision to expel Musa, and that is why he's not here today. Can you confirm that? Also, I've noticed in your statement there's no reaction to the declaration by the 7 other unions yesterday of their suspension of participation in Cosatu structures. Can you tell us your reaction to that? And also, I just wanted to find out why you thought...
You start from the second one.
Oh, the 7 unions that held a media briefing yesterday, they announced that they are suspending participation in Cosatu structures. Can we have your reaction to that? And can you tell us why you felt that NUMSA's position was so untenable within Cosatu, that there was such a determination by yourselves and the other affiliates to expel them? And also how, as leaders of the 29-year-old organization, how you feel about it now fractured? Thank you.
Will allow the National Office Bearers to respond?
Can I? Somebody might have hit the table. We try to shout. Firstly, we may take it from the bottom, moving upwards. Any decision that you may take that will lead to the reduction of your members is a painful decision to take. You don't take it lightly to dismiss an affiliate, no matter how big or how small the affiliate has been. In our history, before NUMSA, we have dismissed about 4 unions. We dismissed the South African Domestic Workers Union, SABC, because it could not comply with the Constitution and the guard retained its affiliation. We just followed the Constitution. We knew the impact that it will have in regard to dismissing domestic workers. We dismissed the Creative Workers Union of South Africa, CUSA, which comprises of the creative workers and the musicians. We dismissed not long ago the South African Democratic Nurses Union, against for inability to pay the affiliation fee. Now we dismiss NUMSA. Every time we have to take this decision, it is a painful exercise, but we have to abide by the policies, the practices, and the constitutional requirement. The CEC gave NUMSA an opportunity to respond, giving them another opportunity to explain to the CEC why they should not be expelled or suspended. Indeed, they took that platform, but trade unions were not convinced with NUMSA explanations. They say the founding principles was violated by NUMSA. They went into land which NUMSA participated in terms of why it's important that every union, irrespective of its size, must comply with the Constitution. On the questions presented and others may come back, we have not received any official or communicate to us about the decisions of the 7 unions. And I think we'll wait until those unions inform us of whatever decision they might have taken. So we read some pieces in terms of the news and in terms of the media, but we'll wait for formal information around that. On the Cosatu Special National Congress, this is a matter that is on the agenda of the CEC. The CEC, when it adjourned on Saturday morning, it said issues of the Special National Congress must be discussed to a meeting that the office bearers must convene before the end of next week to receive the report from the President in terms of these particulars. You may have a different view. You can say it is a theft, the brand and the assets. We can't dispute your view. This will be your view, not a view of the CEC. The matter that is up to now has not been attended to. It was by the agreement of the special CEC held on the 8th of April that these matters must be put in abeyance. If you remember the decision of that meeting, it was also agreed that those who were intending to take a legal route on this matter will wait and reserve their decision. Should they come to the conclusion once the ANC report has been delivered to pursue the matter, it will be within their right to do so. The Constitution does not say the special CEC must be convened within 14 days. So I think you are not reading it well.
It says the notice must be issued.
It does not say it must be convened within 14 days.
It says the notice must be issued within 14 days.
Yeah, I think we differ with you on that one, is interpretation. And you said we must tell you if you are wrong, and you must say you are wrong. You don't believe that you are wrong. You are wrong in terms of that Constitution. When NUMSA was formally informed, it was informed in the meeting. NUMSA participated in the meeting. It was part of the meeting. It took part in the decision. That's why NUMSA, they convened a meeting as soon as I think they told you as they leave here, that I think you wrote that NUMSA was dismissed in the early hours of Saturday. So they knew as they come from this meeting that they were dismissed. There was a result that were read out of the ballot paper that what is the CEC decision. They said in that meeting their right to appeal, as of course they know, was again expressed in the meeting. Why the GS is consulting his lawyers? The GS got a pending matter that you may be aware of, and we understood that he has to sign those papers because they have to be served. That's what he told us. On the issues that you said, you knew about something happening in the NOP's meeting. I mean, if the walls have ears, we don't believe on that. You can't comment. I think you can ask the General Secretary himself on those particular issues. Comrade President.
Thank you, TGS. And one question that was coming from Yelisa. Sorry. Thank you. On the other question that Yolisa, you asked on how do you get to a decision to expel NUMSA in terms of the process, perhaps let me read the Constitution of Cosatu so that it can be clarified, that process, as it follows. The Constitution in terms of Chapter 14.2 reads, suspension or expulsion. The National Congress or the Central Executive Committee may suspend or expel an affiliate for 14.2.2.1.1 acting against the interests of the Federation, failing to attend more than 2 consecutive meetings of the CEC without an apology acceptable to the CEC, or failing to pay its affiliation fees. 40.2.2 says, no such suspension or expulsion shall have effect unless the Central Executive Committee has notified the affiliate in writing of the reasons for the suspension or expulsion and has granted the affiliate permission to present its case to the Central Executive Committee. That's how the CEC then, having followed all these processes under 14.2, written to NUMSA, gave them a notice in February, again in terms of the decision coming from the October special CEC where NUMSA was part of. NUMSA then came to the special CEC on the 7th to present its case on why it should not be suspended or expelled in terms of 14.2.2.2 of the Cosatu Constitution. And the Constitution then says, in terms of how you take a decision, when there are 2 motions in the meeting, the chairperson of the session must then allow that a determination in terms of which motion becomes a decision through a vote. So when there were 2 motions, the chairperson of the session allowed a determination to be made through a secret ballot. National office bearers of Cosatu do not participate in a vote. So a decision was reached where 33 of the delegates to the CEC agreed that NUMSA must be expelled. But furthermore, we want to explain that it is not 33 delegates that expelled NUMSA, but it is the Central Executive Committee of Cosatu. The reasons for is because all delegates in the CEC participated in a democratic process of voting for either of the motions. So once a decision has been reached through a ballot, this is what the Constitution of Cosatu says, that decision becomes a decision of the meeting and it is binding to every member of Cosatu. So that is the process on how we arrived in all decisions of the CEC. And I thought, let me explain that one. Which Congress NUMSA must appeal to? The Constitution of the Federation says, on appeal, 14.3, the affiliate must give notice of their intention to appeal to the General Secretary within 30 days of the decision. the appeal is made to the National Congress, and the decision of the National Congress is final and binding. Where the decision to suspend or expel is made by the National Congress, such decision shall be final and binding. So, in terms of this Cosatu Constitution, the appeal can be made in the September 2015 National Congress of Cosatu. Thank you.
I will deal with just one matter which was not raised by yourselves here as a question, but which has found quite a dominant space in public, because when former leaders of Cosatu make comments about Cosatu, people listen, and they tend to listen more to them than they would listen to the current leadership. Two former leaders of Cosatu, who happened to be general secretaries of Cosatu, have paid a particular interest and therefore formulated certain views about the decision the Central Executive Committee of Cosatu has made in relation to the NUMSA matter. One says the era has ended. Cosatu is dead. Says one man who was once a deputy president of COPE, who is the former general secretary of Cosatu, the second general secretary of Cosatu. The founding general secretary of Cosatu, J. Naidu, went further and asked the question, why would a meeting of less than 100 individuals take a decision that has an impact on over 2.2 million individuals who are members in the unions of Cosatu? These are very, very unfortunate pronouncements by our former leaders, who inspired us at the time they left. We were very much discouraged when one amongst the two decided that it was time for him to leave the ANC and turn his back against the ANC, which he has taught us that the ANC was the thing in the country. He had turned his back and went to join COP, but still has got to then come back and tell us about an era that has come to an end. It may be that an era has come to an end, Babashilo. But it may be that a new era is beginning too. We are here to lead the Federation under these difficult times, and we shall ensure that it remains united. Perhaps that will make you happy, because I ever doubt that you want a demised Cosatu. But all I can say, get off Cosatu. Stay away from Cosatu. Stay away from Cosatu, so that we will still respect you as our former leader, not a leader that contributes to the demise of the Federation, which you built. Would have expected you, J. Naidu, to come when other former leaders were coming to say, how do we help Cosatu? We did not expect you to write open letters to us when our office is just so obvious. You have had the liberty to can call us anytime or come to Cosatu House anytime and demand for a meeting. Would leave everything we're doing and listen to your best advice. It's unfortunate again. We can pronounce you are not helping. You know how Cosatu Constitution works. The very structure, the Central Executive Committee, is the structure you presided over in all the years you were the General Secretary of Cosatu. It was just as it is today. It took the decisions it took, which affected the millions of Cosatu workers and and workers in this country. You never complained about this structure. So it's again unfortunate. We respect you, but in the sense that you are not helping us, stay away.
Perhaps I may need to also clarify how decisions are taken. That was a process that leads to an expulsion or suspension that one earlier clarified in terms of this constitution. And the reason why I think that it is best for us to clarify it, because continuously we're hearing comrades that were part of the CEC continue to mislead members of Cosatu, members of the public, misleading the media on how a decision is arrived at. Now I'm talking about a decision making, not a process of expelling or suspending. The Constitution of Cosatu, Chapter 11, Standing Orders and Rules of Procedure at the Federation's meeting. On the decision making, that's 11.4, it reads, except where otherwise provided in this Constitution, the meeting makes a decision if a motion is duly seconded and the motion is carried if a simple majority of participants vote in favor thereof. A motion will lapse if it is not supported by a simple majority of participants. If there are equal votes in favor or against a motion, then the chairperson shall have a casting vote. At all meetings where there are more than 50 participants, votes must be counted by scrutinizers who must be appointed by the meeting and must record the votes and report the results to the chairperson. No motion that has been debated and determined may be reopened or varied or rescinded at the same meeting. That's the constitution of this federation. And nowhere in this federation there are other provisions except where we are reading. So there were scrutinizers appointed by the CEC. All unions that were in the CEC had observers that went to observe, like you would do when you vote for the elections in this country. So all of them came back from all affiliates saying, we are, as observers, declaring that the voting was free and fair, all of them. Then we received the results, which in terms of this constitution becomes a decision of the federation. Thank you.
We will then allow the second batch to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We'll verify as to whether there's a need for another round. No follow up for now. Identify yourself, your name.
Angelo Coppola from China Central Television. Let's assume that the separation is finalized and the two parties get divorced. What happens to the investment arm assets that are sitting in your investment division?
Next question.
Tony from ENCA. How does the Cosatu Central Executive Committee structure, which expelled NUMSA, function after 7 unions have announced that they are now staying away from that structure? Does Cosatu continue? And I note the Cosatu president's remarks towards former leaders. I think you would also have seen, I'm not sure whether you would have seen this, Mr. Lamini, but a lot of people have taken a swipe at you personally regarding this particular decision. I think going as far as to say they never thought a nurse would bring about the destruction of Cosatu. How do you feel about these comments?
Next question.
Genevieve Quinton from SARFA. On NUMSA's appeal, you say that they can appeal to the National Congress. That's almost a year away. Is it fair to make them wait a whole year? What do they do in that year?
Next question, Steve.
Stephen Curtis, Eyewitness News. Just a quote from the statement.
Thank you. Just a quote from the statement. One thing is certain, the Federation will emerge from the current challenges even stronger without sacrificing an inch of our policies and principles. Ready? Thanks.
The last one is at the back. My lordship.
Thank you. My name is Bugandinde. I'm from Independent Media. I'm glad to note that the NOBs, in particular the second deputy president, is walking around with a handy copy of the Constitution, because I'd like some help understanding 2 areas of the Constitution. Number 1, where in the Constitution does it impose extraneous conditions on the constitutional rights of affiliates to call for a special National Congress? Where does it say that as a condition of holding a special National Congress, that SNC must have clear outcomes to unite or to avoid splitting the Federation? On what basis do you add these extra conditions? Number 2, and this is particularly relevant to the second deputy president, by what worker mandate does she still hold her position? Can she please enlighten us on what the Constitution says regarding her position and the constitutional requirement that she should be a worker leader duly elected, a shop steward of an affiliate in good standing? When she ceased to be a shop steward of NUMSA, she ceased to have a right to hold her position. By what right is she here? So the question I'm trying to get at is, which parts of the Cosatu Constitution should we all pay attention to and respect, and which parts should we ignore?
National office bearers will respond to the second.
Let me start with which I'm sure comrades will respond to what you're calling the personal attacks. I won't respond to that. I just want to make one statement, which I must thank. I don't know whether the star is present here. Then that comrade journalist for quoting me correctly on what I said about that matter, and I'm not gonna be referring to anybody. I'm one person who is not defined by material utterances. They do not determine the person I am. Not because verbal utterances do not stick, but because as a basic value that I was taught when I was growing up. Material utterances do not define me. That's the statement I made to all who yesterday would want to say certain things about me and who will say that tomorrow. Let them understand that they don't define the person that I am, because I'm not a creation of their verbal utterances. I'm me. You can say any other thing, define who I am. I understand exactly who I am. Go to Isabella, yeah. You are raising an important question, which perhaps is not going to be relevant again for me to respond to. I heard it very well. Let me rather leave it, but stick to one question which is facing the President of Cosatu, on him refusing to convene the Special National Congress. I can take you from the agenda of the 10th of February 2014, the agenda of the Central Executive Committee. I can take you to the agenda of the Central Executive Committee of May 26 to 28, 2014. You can also go to the agenda of the Special Central Executive Committee meeting of the 8th of April 2014. But you can also go further and go to the August Central Executive Committee meeting and look at the agenda of that particular meeting. If you're still not satisfied, you can go to the agenda of the Central Executive Committee meeting of the 21st to 23rd of October. Yes, you can still go to the agenda of the Central Executive Committee meeting of the 7th of May. You will see that the item on the report by the President on the request for the Special National Congress, that item is there. But you can go to the minutes of all these meetings I've referred to. You will be informed, you will find out that it's either the item was not discussed because it is put in abeyance, which is largely the case, or the item was not discussed because the meeting got to conclude before the item was reached. But if you are not happy with that, you can even go back to 2013 to a SABC in November. And you will find in the minutes there that the President of Cosatu did present a report accepted by the Central Executive Committee on this request. But strange enough, you may also find that there was an argument whether the President of Cosatu had failed to convene this meeting or not failed. There was a vote on that matter. And the meeting, after a vote, agreed that the President has not failed to convene such a meeting. That remains the trend. Up to now, in the Central Executive Committee, which sits here for your information, there is nobody that has said the President has failed. People go outside and say that. Why? It is because a report was presented by the President on the preparations for such a Special National Congress. You are asking whether in the Constitution, Vugan, there is anything that accommodates the logistical issues. And you are correct, there will be none that say so. But there will be nothing in the Constitution that says logistical issues are not important for a Special National Congress.
because you know very well that you have to work on logistics. They are a reality. The timing of such a Congress is a reality. The money involved is a reality. And everything that is involved about convening a special national Congress will not be written in black and white in the Constitution, but logistics are a reality in any convening of a particular meeting of Cosatu, the Special National Congress in particular. For the record, it is not true the president of Cosatu has refused to convene the Special National Congress. In each and every of the Cosatu meetings, I come with a report in hand, ready to present that particular report. I had the same report in the last Special Central Executive Committee of the 7th to present that particular report so that that Special Congress should be convened. I've done so observing the constitution of this federation to the latter, because it is the duty I have with the collective to ensure that we observe that particular constitution. So it's not true. If we can be of any value to educate you, it's been a long, well-knitted untruth. It's a lie. Manga. The president of Cosatu has never refused to convene a special national congress. He is waiting to present the report in the CEC of Cosatu, and for the CEC to then work on the logistics of it. I've told you that before. It's not the duty of the president to go out looking for the venues and seeing how much must be paid for a particular congress. It is the duty of this structure and the duty of the systems within the federation. Mine is to present that report, and the day I have an opportunity to present such a report, again you will be informed. I just want to deal with that on the matter.
Should I?
Maybe on this one relating to the second deputy president, you seem to be more informed than we are as the media people, because you now know what will be wrong for us here to do is to have a debate with you here in public on the status of the second deputy president, when we have just told you the statement we are having has that particular matter as an item for the CEC to discuss, that to receive a report which they have received at some point, discuss it, and then make a determination of what that status is. It is this CEC of Cosatu that has agreed that whilst that report and the discussion is pending, the second deputy president of Cosatu, Zingiswa Losi, remains. And any other person that decides to go outside and say, hey, what is the status? Is she a member or is she a worker? Where is she working? Is she a shop steward or not? You are simply preempting and prejudging the discussion of the Central Executive Committee. Rather, don't ask us then why are people amongst the CEC members going outside and make allegations or make noises about the status of the deputy president. The CEC shall discuss and conclude this matter. And again, because people might say she is running away from the debate, she's postponing the debate. It is not her. It is the CEC. The matter has been on the agenda in the same as the Special National Congress request has been.
Do Comrade Becky want to speak on the investment arm?
Okay. Thank you. I hope that matter gets clarified. Oli, how does the CEC function when 7 unions has withdrawn? And I think we have said here that we have not received such a withdrawal. As NOBs, no affiliate has written to the national office bearers to say that they have taken a decision not to participate in the structures of the organization. So in terms of that, we're unable to make a determination, because what we know and what we have agreed is that Cosatu continues with its meetings, it continues with its programs. We'll continue to call meetings. We expect unions to come. If a union is unable to come, there is what we call an apology that a union will write. But as of now, we have not received any communication from any union withdrawing its participation in the structures of the federation. And I think also, as much as the president has responded to the NES comments, look, NES are part of this federation. They are members of this federation. So this NES comment that this federation dies in the hands of a NES, we have nurses here, we have doctors here. We have mine workers, we have metal workers. We have cleaners, we have securities. We have all manner of workers that are building the economy of this country. So when one chooses to insult leaders in terms of their profession, I think we can't be running as leadership chasing shadows and wanting to comment to each and every insult. I don't think it helps all of us in doing that. And indeed, we don't have control over what one wakes up and says about one individual. So I don't think it's a process that the Federation wants to be busy with, instead of dealing with issues that I think will be helping all of us in terms of the workers of this country. So in relation to that, yes, we are proud of having a president that is a nursing sister. You know what? Even when we're supposed to eat, we check with him if the diet is correct. It helps us. But this president was elected democratically by 2.2 million members in 2012 in the National Congress of Cosatu, equally to all national office bearers, including those affiliates today that has a pleasure to want to belittle leaders. They were part of that National Congress. He was elected uncontested because he qualified to stand as the president of the federation in that position. Hence, he was elected. So we don't elect leaders in terms of their profession, but we elect them in terms of what workers see in terms of their capacity to lead at that time. And indeed, leadership is a privilege, it's not a right. So we are not, we can't really be worried about who says what about you tomorrow. We don't have control over that. But nurses are part of a federation. They are members of this federation. Yeah, thanks.
Can I add some questions?
It is shifting.
It's me that is like a stick.
Yeah.
It's me.
If I may add just to, on the question of the number of constitutional issues that have been raised that we want to address. The first one was in regard to the investment by the Chinese.
Angela.
Yeah.
Angela.
Okay. The Constitution is clear in here. We can just look to the clause that it asks the question as to what happened if a member or an affiliate, for whatever reasons, leave the federation. What claim does that member have in terms of whatever investment that you may have? The Constitution is quite clear. It's that because it's a collective, it belongs to the federation. Equally, it answered the question as to what happened when you wind up a federation. What happened to its assets? Do you distribute among members and all those things? Can anyone have a claim? It says no. The federation as a whole may decide as to where to donate whatever you may have in terms of the asset. It happens to the unions, it happens to the federation. It's a constitutional requirement. There's no question of getting dividends. The other people say others might be chasing others because they will have the dividends. The Constitution doesn't allow any leader or any remaining members to say what remains must be shared among those remainings. No one can have a claim. It has to be donated to non-profit organization as the whole. It's in the Constitution. The second issue, I think, was also the constitutional issue. What happened if other unions do not participate? How the CEC function? The CEC is guided by the Constitution too. There's something called credentials and quorums. In order to meet and be able to continue with the CEC decision, you must meet a CEC requirement. The second deputy president is correct that we cannot speculate on what you might have had in regarding to people that we said may want to boycott, to put a pressure in terms of engaging those issues. There's another constitutional matter that you have raised. For how long should you wait for a Congress to be able to deal with your issues? The Constitution says the cycles of the Cosatu Congress is 3 years. Let's take it make an example. What happens if 2 months after the Congress has met, you are dismissed by the Congress, and the right you have in the Congress is to appeal? Does it mean the Congress must be brought forward so that you can be able to present your case or not? It doesn't say so. It says it must go to the next Congress. So if you are dismissed a day after the Congress, it may mean you have to appeal to the next Congress. It's a constitutional matter. You may have the feeling of saying it takes long. It may take shorter for others depending on the incident. But it's a constitutional matter that has to be dealt with. The fourth constitutional issue, I think the issue that the former Cosatu spokesperson raised. I can't say Comrade there, but and I'm not exposing you to this thing. I mean, we just indicate that we are proud that we have been part of this particular process. The issue is true. There is no conditions in convening of the special Congress, so you can't pick and choose. But you must read that report that we're referring to, which is the ANC task team and what the NOB said in these things. They said in all purposes, when you convene a special Congress, you have one thing in mind. You want to build, you want to make the federation strong, you are doing it for the purpose of unity. That's what it's talking about. It says, in many times, ideally, it's not a requirement, ideally when you convene a special Congress, that's what you want to achieve. That's what that report says. It starts by saying it is a constitutional right for the 1/3 to convene a Congress. So it doesn't qualify those things of saying, but you have to ensure that you have money, you have logistics. Those are things as a president indicates. Those are unwritten, but a necessity that you'll have to find a date, you'll have to talk to unions, you'll ensure that you prepare well in terms of all those things. The fourth and the last constitutional matter, or maybe before going back to the things, there was a question raised that are you going to emerge stronger? And the question was said, really? It's a desire that when you build an organization, you'll always dream. There are challenges all the time, but you have to have a vision that keeps you, walking. Is that you plan to succeed, you do your best to ensure that all the obstacles on their way, you are working them out so that you can succeed. So it's a desire that holds us back and to say whatever we do, we want to succeed. There's no science of it that we are going to wake up tomorrow stronger. is a desire. The last constitutional issues that I want to raise. First is that the status of the deputy president was put on the agenda of the CC by the deputy president herself. No one else. She came to the NOBs and says, how do you interpret the Constitution on this particular case? The NOBs and says, in order, because the Constitution says, in between the Congresses, is the Central Committee that must interpret the Constitution. So we put it on. We raised two issues in that agenda. The first one, we said, there is a precedent in the Federation that the second vice president of Cosatu some times back, the late Comrade George Nkadimeng, was working in ECO, being a member of NUM. ECO is that company closer to Springs that do the refinery of the use mine kind of dams. When he was retrenched, Nkadimeng, he then went to work for Metal Box, the paper part of it. He joined NUM. No. He joined NUMSA. His presidency, his terms, continues. The Federation, because it was brought to the Federation at that time, the Federation said, no, we see no problems. So he jumped from one union to another union. He continued with his presidency. So the president said he wanted to get this thing. So those who have been here for some time, like myself, I don't want to read this thing and relate to me to a taxi driver and say the taxi drivers who got this problem because they were the taxi driver, like the nurses. We then said there is a precedent, but we must, in the current environment, we must read the Constitution. And the issue here is whether the position can be transferable. Then we said the CEC must decide. If the CEC says it is not, the time of movement does not necessitate the continuity, the deputy president said, I'm fine with that. But the CEC must clarify those particular issues. The CEC in April, unanimously, this was not voted for. All the people in the CEC unanimously, and I repeat this thing, unanimously agreed that the status of the second deputy president is not questionable until such time the matter is discussed by the CEC. She must continue, act and work as the second deputy president. So it's a constitutional issue. It's both the CEC decision as well as to what we want the CEC to interpret. Because it's only the CEC that can interpret the Constitution between the Congresses. Those are the issues of the Constitution that you might have raised.
This may be the last round. No repeat. I see 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then
take all of them once.
Yeah. And then you will follow. You'll follow.
Stand here.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You will follow. It may be the last round. Shall you resume? Press the silver button.
On the business day. The African National Congress yesterday had a media briefing where it spoke about the possibility of dangerous competition. In your section on managing the process moving forward, you speak very little on managing possible worker rivalry between you also don't say whether there is a home for metal workers. You have expelled your metal worker union. Where do metal workers now go if they want to remain in Cosatu? are you going to allow Malusa to affiliate to the Federation? And then the second question is, the ANC was adamant yesterday that it felt that the expulsion of NUMSA was bad for Cosatu, bad for the alliance, bad for the ANC, and bad for society in general. As the leader of the alliance, have you guys interacted with the ANC on your decision, which you seem to be quite stoic about?
Second one.
Hi, I'm Tingwa from Sowetan. I just wanted to find out what will happen to those Cosatu leaders or affiliates that have rejected your decision to expel NUMSA. And also, are you not worried that there's a possibility of NUMSA forming a new federation? Thanks.
Next.
Sam, myself also from ANC, my question is linked to the Sowetan. You say in the Constitution that if unions do not attend 2 CEC meetings in consecutive, those are grounds for disciplinary action. What action will you take against those unions? And if you suspend them, will you be afraid that they will form a new federation with NUMSA? And what is your current relationship with the former president of NUMSA, Cedric Zina, right now? Thank you.
Next.
Caiaphas Osama from City Press. What happens if the other 7 unions leave with NUMSA as threatened? What will the impact be on Cosatu organizationally and financially? Meaning, are you ready to see 40% of Cosatu leave with NUMSA?
Next. On the line. Yes.
Just to follow up to Natasha's question, your statement contradicts the ANC statement that Cosatu is going to emerge stronger. If you could perhaps just comment on that. Thank you.
Next, identified on the list. Was it Yolisa?
Yolisa from SABC Television News. Why was NUMSA's submission submitted to internal processes to allow them to go back to their affiliates to receive fresh mandates from their respective structures? And also, please help us understand, does this mean then you've kicked out all those workers, 300 and some 50,000 odd? And what happens to the provincial leaders? They also fall away. And also, a colleague's question was not answered. Why are you giving them, is it fair to say they can only appeal next year sometime? In September, is it?
Next.
Thank you very much. Peter from Marine Guardian again. Just 3 very quick questions. Firstly, I don't know if I missed it, but who signed Cosatu's NUMSA's expulsion letter and when was it delivered? Secondly, when is the next special CC that will deal with all those outstanding issues? Is there a date set and agreed on, is the agenda agreed on? And thirdly, will the CUC actually even happen at all? The CC?
Okay. Next.
Just lastly for me, Tony from ENCA. You sitting there, there's 5 of you. There's one member who has said he's signing letters with his lawyers. What is your true relationship with Zwelithini right now? Are you speaking with one voice as a collective of this Cosatu executive structure? Why not?
Okay. Next.
Ona Mutasa from the BBC Africa Service. To add to that of the ANC reporter, it's about Zwelinzima Vavi, the Secretary General. We have heard the Secretary General saying that it has been a huge disaster of expelling NUMSA out. Today, Secretary General is not on the seat here, and we understand that he has some issues to answer back to Cosatu. And Ivan Jim has said that the next step might be on Zwelinzima Vavi to show him the door out of Cosatu. Mr. Dlamini, the President, what can you say about it?
Okay, the last one. I think it's Ranjani.
I just want to find out what's the approach of Cosatu to the litigation undertaken by the Cosatu staff member against Mr. Vavi and yourself. Have you discussed what's the status of that matter and what's the response to it?
Which one? Okay.
The National Office for us responding.
Okay. Comrade Zwelinzima Vavi has gone to sign court papers, and it has to do with the matter you are asking Ranjan. It is that matter, because that matter is on. Cosatu is also responding and challenging the matter as the federation. It's a separate processes. Cosatu is challenging that. Comrade Zweli is also challenging that. I think that's the easy one. Before I answer to the BBC Africa question and in linking it with the Mail and Guardian, you know, journalists are unable to hide behind scenes engagements with some of the leaders in the federation. So it just comes out so clearly. You can't hide. You must train yourself to be able to hide when you have had been given off the records briefings. They are very important, and they are given to you so that they remain off the record. It doesn't have to come out of your tongue as it happens. I'll then get you to understand why I'm raising the question. Not directed to the ones that I'm referring to anyways, generally. Because earlier on, one journalist here says she knows that the General Secretary of Cosatu was in the office bearers meeting where we sit, who are 6. He knows that he would have expressed his displeasure and unwillingness about communicating decisions that have been taken by the Central Executive Committee. Lies as it may, that type of a thing, but it then smacks of something that you are unable to control. The fact that the General Secretary is not in this briefing is as we have already explained. We were with him today because we started our meetings at 9 today. We were together to deal with a range of issues, including the very legal issues, including the writing of the letter to NUMSA, which there was a question earlier, and I don't remember it being responded to. We have dispatched the CEC decision in the form of a letter to NUMSA. We're not going to do that before we can address you here. We made it a point that it is done. So we were together at that particular time. But it gets worse when you then ask who signed. When you ask who signed the letter, say, oh, okay, now there's even an issue. Who signed the letter to NUMSA? Why is it an issue? When the collective meets and then agree on the content of the letter and agree that the Deputy General Secretary signs the letter. Why should it be an issue? Because the General Secretary is away consulting lawyers, the DGS is here, so DGS signed the letter. So it is signed by the Deputy General Secretary. It's not anything that you can read out of that. I would refrain from commenting on because I still take it as hearsay. It's what you heard the GS said, which I didn't hear. If anything, I saw it in some newspaper saying it is on tweet somewhere. I'm not on tweet. You all know that. I have my own reasons.
But are you happy with his statement, Mr. Zoran?
I hear you. The response has been given already to that question. The decision of the Central Executive Committee is binding on all of us and all the affiliates of Cosatu. We are expected to respect that decision. What cannot then be controlled is how personal I feel. For instance, when the decision was taken and the results were announced, I was the first one to express my reaction in the meeting. And I said, this is a decision we have taken with heavy hearts because it is unprecedented, it is historical, it's a painful decision to have been made on one of us, with whom we have been over so many years, and we have decided that they must be expelled. So that's my feeling. It's not what the CEC then gets informed by how I feel. And I can't be held to account for my expressions of how I feel. You sounding like a scratched record, Tony.
Yeah, tell him.
On wanting to know what is the nature of our relationship as the national office bearers. Many of you also have asked this question. Maybe it's a question of great concern. You know, you should have been in our meeting yesterday as national office bearers, just talking about the whole situation that is facing the Federation and facing us here. And on some of the things we were laughing, on some of the things we were really quite sad that these things are happening. And in many instances, the feelings were very mutual, to the point of saying, no matter what happens, nothing will take away Ubuntu amongst ourselves, and how we shall go in history looking back and analyzing what is happening today. It pains all of us equally. So we have a comrade relationship, a friendship relationship, we have a collegial relationship. We are comrades in arms under this situation. All of us. I didn't understand your question, whether you were saying, will the Central Committee ever happen, CC, or you were saying the CEC, the Central Committee?
When's the next special CEC?
Oh, thanks.
And is the session going ahead when it's supposed to?
All right, thanks. We are to propose to the affiliates a date for the agenda meeting, and we are looking either late this week or early in the week. We have not yet concluded that as national office bearers. And the Central Committee, which was supposed to start yesterday, ending on the 13th, was postponed by agreement by the CEC. It is now scheduled for the 24th to the 26th of November. We are yet to meet to sign off on the report of the Central Executive Committee to that Central Committee meeting. So it is postponed. Let me take the last ones, and because there were quite many. The matter relating to NUMSA, Yoliswa, why was it not subjected to the internal process led by the ANC? The statement is very clear that we're referring to here. Whilst this is purely a constitutional matter, it was subjected to the ANC's process, because we're now discussing each item on the agenda in line with the ANC advices, and I underline advices or recommendations, because the CEC ultimately takes a decision, and the ANC process emphasizes unity and cohesion of Cosatu as we discuss this matter. So it was subjected. I know that other comrades feel that we may not have done enough in putting it to that process, like they needed to take the report out and come back in another day and further engage. The meeting finally agreed that no, we're concluding on the matter there and there, guided by that particular process. The kicking out of 350,000, by the way, Cosatu has been receiving affiliation fees to Cosatu based on the credentials report, which says 330 something thousand, not 350,000. That's what counts at Cosatu, which is a very significant, huge number of workers, very, very important. And the question is being asked very critically, is Cosatu kicking out 350,000 workers? You know, when you dramatize it in that way, it sounds like literally Cosatu is on the rampage and kicking out 330,000 workers. Cosatu want all workers in Cosatu, in this country, including metal workers. We want them in Cosatu, and we shall do our best that we ensure that Cosatu will always have metal workers and auto and engineering workers in Cosatu, because that's very, very important. It's very correct. The Cosatu without those workers will not be a good thing for the country. How we will be doing that, it's what the CEC has got to continue guiding, but we have an ongoing campaign as Cosatu on recruitment of workers into Cosatu. Now, the direct question is about Mausa and Cedric Gina. At the moment, we do not have a union called Mausa in Cosatu. You know that. There is no application in Cosatu by the union called Mausa. You know that. Why are you forcing us to talk about a union that is not a Cosatu affiliate? Please. Don't get us into that question. But what is critical, we want all workers in Cosatu because it is the correct thing to happen in this country. Lastly, and for the first time, we have to respond to this question about work around an alternate to Cosatu. We have been aware of that. And we're watching that space. We believe that Cosatu still remain very much relevant for the workers of this country. But the test is out there in the field on what Cosatu does to still appeal to those workers to be in Cosatu. And any other person or groups of people in the country are at liberty to form other unions and form other federations. But our duty is to ensure that we unite workers under the banner of Cosatu in South Africa. To do so, we must deal with the challenges that are facing us and ensure that we go to the ground to deal with the issues that are facing us. It's a difficult time, but we are not tiring. If anybody like Baba Shiloh thought that Cosatu has come to an end, no. We shall go forward. We shall go forward. We're not talking about this matter that you are being told in the media yesterday, because those 7 affiliates are the affiliates of Cosatu. They are the affiliates of Cosatu in good standing. They may have issues. We all know, they all know, issues are debated here internally, and we call upon all of them to do exactly that. Come inside Cosatu, don't address those matters in public, because that's not the platform we all are agreed to. We are agreed to engage on even the worst difficult matters internally. I'll stop there.
Yeah. Just to conclude from the President, There is a reason why the Federation wants one union, one industry. It's exactly to address the question of rivalry. We know from Cosatu experience, when we come to this conclusion, was when workers are competing against one another in one establishment. One union decide to go on strike, and another union decide to go to work. What will happen is that workers will fight, workers will clash, and eventually some workers have lost their life. We got the experience here, we got precedent in Cosatu. That's why Cosatu will always, at all cost, protect this principle of one union, one industry. We can't compromise on this principle of one union and one industry because we know the pains of it. We know people who have lost their lives in terms of those particular issues among the union of Cosatu. And the unions knows that unless you address these things with care, it can lead to a very, very difficult situation. Someone raised the issues about the ANC think this is a disaster. To expel a union, no matter how small it is, to kick workers off the federation family is a painful exercise. But you have to be guided by principle as you do it. How many mothers and fathers have to splash their child? Do you enjoy it when you do it? I don't think so. But sometimes you feel it's necessary that when your young one misbehaves in a particular way, you will react. It's a painful exercise. We know that it's going to, we all said in the federation, it's difficult to build, but the route that you must have to take, and you must do it with principles. We know that there were people who were not happy with the decision. That's why there was a vote. Yeah. And those people are not going, emotions will be there ordinarily that you have lost in a process that you participated on. You can't go to vote and say, I will be angry if I lose. You'll be disappointed, but not to the point that you should be angry. Otherwise, why will you participate in the process that you will expect only one side of the outcome? So those comrades might be angry, but we hope as disciplined cadres of the movement, they will overcome those anger. They will come down. They will be all say what they've been saying for the past 29 years, that once a decision has been taken in a constitutional structure, is a decision of the movement, is a decision of the organization, and everybody must abide by it. Of course, the question, I think many people, including the General Secretary, have said this thing in the past, that office bearers are comrades. They are not friends. We are comrades. We are brought together by our work, by our organization to serve, and we disagree sometimes. We disagree from the football. We disagree from many other issues. But we understand and we debate. We have some fierce debate on some of the issues. We've got some areas that we don't agree. But once a decision has been taken, we all have the responsibility to carry that decision. It's true that losing what the contribution that NUMSA makes, both financially and politically, is going to be a loss. There's no doubt about that one. But we should not be put in a situation where money talks, that those who command much more money, when they contravene the Constitution and the principle, must turn a blind eye and say, no, but your contribution is more important. Can we turn a blind eye? We can't do it. People must be treated equally, whether you are small. The vote, there are unions in here in Cosatu who got 2 representatives in the CC. Some of them have a membership that is less than 1,000. But others got 90,000, but they have the same voting weight. We treat them equally in in the federation. So the issue that what has been befell Cosatu, I think the president have indicated, is unfortunate. That's why we must work to address those particular issues. The issues of whether there should be another home, I think the president has explained that one. That while we want everybody to belong to Cosatu, and everybody knows that in Cosatu we have said a worker who is not a member of the Cosatu outside, whether it belongs to another union, is unorganized, ununionized. We must work towards these issues. That's why it is not CEC that says, as people want to dramatize the Cosatu, wake up one morning and dismiss 350,000 workers. Who can do that? Just wake up in the morning and dismiss so many workers. Remember, these processes started in January. In January, the office bearers wrote to NUMSA and says, your Congress decisions have a negative impact to the Cosatu resolution and policy. Let's meet. That's in January. We wrote in numerous letters. The unions were concerned about one of the resolution of expanding the scope. We have a meeting in February, special CEC. We put this thing on the agenda. We asked NUMSA to come to address these particular issues. We had a meeting in the end of February. NUMSA asked for more time, which was given. By the 7th of March, NUMSA responded in a 59-page document. Extensively, we circulate that document to each and every Cosatu unions. Read and try to understand what NUMSA is saying on these issues. We met here. We gave NUMSA 3 hours to talk to the CEC, uninterrupted. 3 hours. We then engage. What more can you do in terms of those issues? The former leaders who now blame the central committees and the power given to the central committee should not blame the current leaders. This is their constitution. This is the constitution that they participate in drafting, that they ask all of us to obey all the time. We could not go to those members of NUMSA, even if we want to, and say, your leadership say this, convene them to come here and say, change your meeting. We can't undermine a leadership of an organization because they're empowered by their own structures. So you have to respect what they say because you believe they speak on behalf of their members. So we could not bypass them and say, let's go and talk to NUMSA structures, Nicodemusly go there and talk to them. We can't do those particular issues. Now, so I think we will have to engage. We're engaging one another. It's very difficult situation that we're in. But we believe that people will have to discuss these things with care. That's why in our statement we talk about organizational discipline. That if workers are going to be fighting one among themselves, they are going to be the loser in these particular processes. That's why we want people to engage soberly. We hope people are not going to go personally and say this is because of one leader. And unfortunately, the people that they are referring to have no say in the CEC. And people must read the Cosatu Constitution. The office bearers in the CEC can't vote, can't even put a motion. And that's what's deliberate in the Constitution, that because they serve all unions, they should not be taking a particular, they might belong to unions, but they can't come here and express a view of their unions. They leave that to the unions who got that particular mandate. So I think we're going to engage. We are hopeful that we will have to address these particular issues and the challenges that is facing the Federation. There have been some difficult times in the past, but soberly
Well, that was Cosatu's press briefing on the outcome of its special Central Executive Committee meeting. Now, this is in the wake of the expulsion of NUMSA on Saturday.
Cosatu leaders who came here uninvited, they said they think it is their responsibility to come and not to shout at any other forums, to come here, and they asked, Comrade, can we intervene? We think we can share some experiences because some of the things happening here happened during our own time, so that we can see how we move forward. Thank you very much.
Comrades, this marks the end of our press conference. We thank you for attending. There's a matter of a lost property. I think something, gadget to open the gate, whatsoever. Pick it up with us. And thank you for your coming here.